Welcome to the party, the pickle party. And I want to start off this wonderful members stream that we have the the pleasure of doing every week by saying sorry, Shane, for yelling at you earlier when everything just exploded at one time.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, I understand. Brian and I vent to each other frequently, but when I came on the camera, Brian was like a volcano was going off in the background, and Brian, everything started shaking, and I was like, okay, this is not good. So,
yeah, everything I had set up, I had everything set up yesterday. I don't know if you've been following, but shows were scheduled. Everything was good. Everything was correct. I's were dotted, T's were crossed, the whole nine. And starting at like 1 o'clock, it's been nothing but problems. And then when we tried to start the stream, Shane mentions, she goes, oh, by the way, I can't see your camera. I'm like, oh, let me fix that. And I hit the button so you can see the camera, and everything turns off. Just like that. Pretty sure I yelled a couple obscenities at one time, and then cried for about 30 seconds, and then went back to set everything up again. And now, 18 minutes later, here we are. And what sucks is it's a brand new stream. So any of the people that were like waiting for the stream from yesterday or whatever, or shared it, that link is completely wrong now. All the links are wrong. Everything's wrong, but it's okay. We're here.
Yes.
We're here, and we're going to party.
And it's going to be good.
Let me just fix my hair because I was raging a little bit.
I wish I had video footage from my angle, like where for everybody to see like this, where you're going crazy and I look like this.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, what's going on?
And Shane he was like an innocent bystander. He's like, hey, what's going on, man? I'm like, no, that's it, shut
up. I will kill you and rip off your head and shit down your throat.
I will break your face.
I'm like, okay, all right.
Listen, we're good. Everything's fine. I might have had a mild aneurysm, but we're good for now. You know what? It's fitting that the show we have all these difficulties on is the one where we have a special guest, Matthew Kadish from the Salty Nerd podcast, in which we had a pleasure of spending time with in Vegas, and he is a talented dude, and we're gonna get to hang out with him at the in the middle of the show, which will be at the tail end of the Unleashed show, but the very beginning of the members only section. So,
yeah, we're still getting the format together, but yeah, so Matt will be with us a little later in the show.
Do me a favor, Shane. You talk to people so I can adjust some things, and then we'll do a run of show.
Happy to do so. It's good to see so many familiar faces here. We've got Jeremy Schneider, Mr. Tickle Trunk, Kenneth LaRoque, all cracking up over here on the members portion of the live stream. It's great to see you guys. Thanks for hanging in. They were cheering you on, Brian, and kind of laughing over the whole thing.
You guys can hear me screaming?
Yeah, Jeremy says they heard a couple of cuss words.
That's so embarrassing.
Oh,
my bad, guys.
All good.
I actually go out of my way to watch my mouth. But when I get angry, all the logic goes out the window. So
yeah,
I blame it on our father. I get that from him.
We've both had a really couple of interesting things off camera, things that have happened over the time. Grips wax, surf wax situation. There was one really good one where you got so mad that you punched a wall. I thought that was pretty fun.
Yeah, you shouldn't have said his name though. Well, what he's talking about is we had a customer. All right, can I tell a story real quick?
There anymore, so it's fine.
We had a customer from years ago, and he was this guy who was very hard to deal with. The most difficult person I think I've ever dealt with. That was success. Like he was like, I've dealt with more difficult people, but they're usually drunks. This guy was like a older, successful business executive, and he was infuriating, right? And one time we were talking to him, we were having a conference call, and he was saying this once again. He's saying the same thing he said for like 15 times that day, that week. and I just lost it. I mute the call. Only Shane can hear me. And I just go ham on the wall next to me, and it's in shambles. And then I calmly unmute the call and then continue the conversation as if there wasn't literally a human-sized hole in my wall right next to me.
Right. Oh, that was classic, man. So we've all had our moments. I broke a cell phone or two, and
Yes.
We've all had a couple.
Last story. One time, Shane got so mad at me. We were having a conversation at our studio, and we have to have this conversation in private, and our studio is tiny, so we go into the back of the studio, like where like the parking lot is, so that our people don't hear us. And he's like trying to talk to me, and I'm trying to talk to him, and we're both like heated, and we're not understanding each other. And finally, Shane goes, "You know what? Damn it!" And he spikes his phone on the ground like a volleyball, and it just shatters like a million pieces. And then it both dawns on us that he just like shattered a $1,200 phone, and I'm like, you feel better about that? He's like, no.
Totally ended the argument immediately.
Yeah. Like immediately, we weren't even mad at each other. And I'm like, okay, we have to figure out how to fix this phone.
Yeah. Then it became about, this is my bad. This is bad. But hey, we've learned over the years. It's all good. We have our moments.
Yeah. All right. So let's do a run of show real quick. This is what we're talking about today, my friends. We are talking about Tom Hanks teaming up with a robot dog, or a dog and a robot, in the first in a new show on Apple TV called Finch. But it's less about the show. We're going to talk about the genius of that show, but why it's on Apple TV. We're also talking about LG launching what is apparently, to me, it's like sexual in nature, because it's a 325-inch television.
Sure.
325-inch 8K television. And now I have a goal in life. Like, I will not sleep. I will not eat. I will work my butt to the bone to make sure one day I can afford this sexy TV. I don't know another word for it.
Can't wait to talk about that one.
Yeah. When you sent me that article, I was like, this is like pornography to me. We're going to talk about how Universal somehow landed Christopher Nolan's new World War II epic. And Shane loves period pieces, and I despise them. So it'll be an interesting conversation.
Oh, it's fascinating. Yeah.
We're going to be talking about Disney's new Eternals, and the fact that it's going to be a Disney Plus and when, and that's a whole other thing. And the very sad news of my favorite comedian, Norm Macdonald, passed away. I know a lot of people already talked about him, but damn it, we're going to get our chance to talk about him because Norm was a good dude.
Yeah, we were actually going to go live that day, like as soon as the news broke, and then the computer was tied up and we just couldn't go live. So
yeah,
today's
when he says tied up, it was in like 12 pieces on the ground.
It was literally in pieces.
Yeah, when he called me, it was in pieces. I was in the middle of upgrading the video card. Anyways, also we're talking about Indiana Jones 5, and apparently it looks like there might be a lead swap takeover. Phoebe Waller-Bridge. It's a whole thing. Someone might be replacing Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. Matrix 4, talking about Neo and Trinity. More Dune news, but less about Dune and more about the director of Dune and his thoughts on Marvel. The Boys Season 3 had a brand new clip, and it's genius. Absolutely genius. These guys land it, man. And Star Trek Strange New Worlds and the Noonien. You know what? I'm not even going to try to say the name.
Okay? Noonien Singh.
Yeah. Something about Khan and Strange New Worlds. Yeah, and we're gonna be talking about all that stuff today's show. Half that will be on PCU, and the other half will be on Podcast Prime. As a member, you can go down to the description, hit the join button, or we made you a cool quick link in case you want to see the whole thing. Why did my camera just change? What the hell?
It's cool. It's actually it's production quality.
But because I wanted to get all that out of the way, I want to explain exactly what we're doing today, because again, I cannot stress this enough, for a healthy portion of the middle of the full show, Matthew Kadish from the Salty Nerd Podcast, will be here.
Woo!
Woo! And you know what? On that new stream deck there should be like a sound effect for cheering. Remind me to do that later on.
Okay. That sounds fun.
Okay. So
right.
That said, I say we get into the show.
Let's do this.
Elder, you did communicate with Matt, right? We haven't advertised this whole thing, and he doesn't even know what we're talking about right now.
It'd be pretty funny if he just didn't show up at this point. But he is aware, and I've given him the time frame, so he should be showing up in the green room soon.
The green room, a la the Zoom pending invite channel.
Yes, that is the green room. It's not very beautifully decorated, but it is there.
I disagree. I think it's wonderfully decorated.
All right.
Once again, I have to set this scene up again. Jeez. Oh my god. Oh my god. You guys don't even know.
You don't know.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna show. Let me just show you what's going on here. Okay. I'm just gonna show you. No, that's not.
That's not it.
That's not right. Hold up. That's the wrong one. Here we go. All right.
Whoa.
This is a Steam deck.
That's a cool setup.
Yeah. It was supposed to make my life easier, but instead it made my life harder today. Now it wasn't just the Steam Deck, it was also the whole virtual camera thing that apparently just doesn't want to work. But you know what? It doesn't matter. We're good. I'm gonna stop talking about it. Clearly it's bothering me.
You're still thinking about it, but you know that's cool. People haven't seen your setup. That is kind of hot looking.
Oh, you know what? Let me know if you guys want me to give you guys a little studio tour. A couple people has asked me, and I keep saying I'll do it, and then I keep forgetting.
Let's do it. We'll do it in the second half of the show.
Well, I can't just do a studio tour. Like it requires like.
You know what? Then let's do a studio tour. We'll record it and we'll give it to members.
Yeah, we'll do that. Let us know if you actually care about that, though. I'm not gonna spend the time doing that if there's only like two people. Cool.
I've been there. I've seen it. I'm impressed. So I got to tell you, I was surprised.
Shane's easily impressed.
I am. That's not true. I was totally impressed.
Okay, guys. Never too late for Ritalin. You, my friend, are not wrong. I've been trying to get a prescription for like 10 years. They're like, no. You don't have ADD, bro. You
have anger issues.
You just have mental problems. So, all right, let's talk about Tom Hanks, guys. Get off topic.
Shane, this thing about Tom Hanks is Tom Hanks is the interesting thing here. But what really made us want to talk about that, I don't know if we would have talked about this if it was just Tom Hanks teaming up with a dog and a robot, a la like Turner and Hooch 2050, right? That was the other dog movie he was in years ago.
Yeah, I remember. It's just a bad joke.
Thanks, man. I laugh at yours. Okay, look it up.
It's true. You know what? Wait. Can you go tell the joke one more time?
Yeah, Tom Hanks teams up with a dog and a robot, a la Turner and Hooch 2050. Wow, that just sounded so much better. I now understand studio applause.
Hey, for real though, when I saw this poster and the premise, I was like, "Oh hell yes!" Tom Hanks in a dystopian science fiction movie where he's teaming up with a robot. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Just that paragraph alone who do I give money to for this? And apparently it's Apple TV, which
it's Apple TV, yeah. Well, let's talk about the premise and then let's talk about the real reason we're talking about this story, because I don't know if we'd be talking about this story right now. Maybe we would, but there's bigger reasons behind it. But Tom Hanks, a dog and a robot, a post-apocalyptic abandoned city. These are the four elements of the poster for Finch. And this sci-fi movie is set to premiere on Apple TV Plus on November 5th. So we are literally like 45 days away or so. Hanks plays an inventor who builds a robot to make sure his dog will have company after he dies. Finch is an interesting story, Brian, because it was actually going to be released in theaters. And it's been being produced over the last 2 years. There's actually some time. And then all of a sudden, when it got pushed back again, Tim Cook with Apple stepped in and bought the rights for the original content so that they could. So what we're going to get here is not only are we getting a Tom Hanks movie, but we're getting a Tom Hanks movie that was made for the theater that's going to be streamed on Apple TV Plus, which there is a difference a little bit. It seems, there should be a quality boost just based on that alone.
So it's not a TV show. It's a full-length movie. Interesting.
It's a movie. Yeah.
Wow. And it's going directly to Apple TV. That's nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Finch is directed by British filmmaker Miguel Sapochnik, who is no stranger to sci-fi, having directed Repo Men and episodes of TV series like The Fringe, Revolution, Falling Skies, and Altered Carbon.
Oh my God, I loved like 3 of those shows. Loved them. Fringe was amazing. Altered Carbon, the first season anyways, was really good. The second season was whatever.
He also directed Battle of the Bastards, which was the season 6 episode of Game of Thrones, which is one of the most celebrated in the show's history. So this guy, it's very positive that he's done well with this movie. Now, if Tom brings, let's say, his Wilson acting thing where he was on that island, what was that movie called?
Castaway.
If we get Castaway Tom Hanks and not like Angels and Demons Tom Hanks, I think this would be pretty good.
That's not fair, because I think in Angels and Demons, I think he was like, I think half that movie he was counting the zeros on his paycheck.
100%. I was hugely disappointed to have an incredible actor like Tom Hanks do these books, which were arguably, the Da Vinci Code was an amazing book.
Yeah.
And we're like, yes, he's going to be playing the title character. And then you're like, oh no, that was terrible.
I actually like the first Da Vinci Code, but to be fair, I watched the movie and then read the book.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's probably fine if you've never read the book, but it just doesn't gather the intricacies of the character. I don't think so.
Yeah. What we're saying is that books ruin everything. I'm kidding. That's not what I'm saying.
Or movies ruin books. So it depends on how you look at it.
Oh, if the movie's done poorly, yeah.
Yeah. So listen here. This is interesting. And this is going to be great. November 5th, we're going to probably want to watch this. But the more interesting news here, guys, is that Apple TV's come to play. Apple TV's not messing around, guys. Brian and I have been watching these things pop in the last couple months. At the end of June, Apple TV only had a 3% market share of the streaming service. And not that their numbers have boosted up incredibly in the last couple months, because it hasn't. But what has happened is the amount of attention that Apple TV is getting from people talking about the shows that they're putting out has caused the buzz to get a little bit more jumpy, right?
Right.
It's coming through. We're feeling like, hey, we got to see things on Apple TV. What are some of the? I mean, there's more shows coming.
Oh yeah. Oh, let me just run down real quick. This is what I've seen. This is what I've personally seen on Apple TV that is really good. Mythic Quest is phenomenal. It's not only funny, but it's actually like a really cool inside look at like gaming studios and industries. And I can tell you, as someone who has worked in an industry, it's not exactly the same, but it's very similar. The whole vibe is there. What a great show. And then the one with Rosie Bryan. Oh my God, I'm forgetting the name of it. It's like she's like on a workout. It's Rosie Bryan, Apple TV, whatever that show is. It's good. Ted Lasso, phenomenal TV show. Hot right now.
Yep.
So good. I mean, I didn't know he was capable of acting like that. It's just every bit of that show is good. Every minute is just like heartwarming and just it's fantastic.
And that's about that's like a sports coach who now is over doing NFL coach who's now doing soccer.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He gets hired to go coach a soccer team, and he's actually like an NFL, not like I think like a college football coach or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. It's a football coach of some sort. It's heavy on sports. It feels that way, but then you realize the story is not really about the sport. It's about the whole fish out of water thing and how he's proving people wrong, not based on his knowledge or his skill, but just on his ability to be a good dude. And it's I don't know. It's charming. It's charming. Yeah. It's funny. It's good.
We've also got the morning show with Jennifer Aniston and
Good show.
That's coming. Steve Carell's in it. Billy Crudup.
Foundation's coming up.
Foundation, which is going to be a sci-fi series, is coming up
based on the Isaac Asimov books, which are phenomenal.
You got C, which is the Jason Momoa-led sci-fi drama.
Yeah, I researched that. It didn't seem like something I'd be into, even though I love Jason Momoa.
Well, I got to tell you, the Salty Nerd guys have been covering it, and Matt is in the back end. He's in the green room now, so everybody get excited to be out there soon. He's in the Zoom room. There's lots of shows. Mr. Corman with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. There's a bunch of stuff coming, and I got to tell you, Kate Hudson's doing a Truth Be Told thing. There's just this buzz about Apple, and what's interesting about it is that Apple has always been, look, either you're an Apple person or you're not, right? If you're not an Apple person, you're probably a Samsung person,
Android person.
So the thing about Apple TV is that it's been difficult to kind of connect to. Not everybody can get it. You can't watch Apple TV Plus on your phone as an app. You actually have to go through the browser unless you have an iPhone or an iPad or Mac. Then you can actually watch it through their service. And as far as I can tell, Amazon TV Plus is like, almost reminds me of like Roku, right? It's a service inside of a service. So you get there, and then it sends you out to these other platforms that they have. So it's very complicated. And if they can fix that, I got to tell you, they're going to be powerful, man. They are going to, you know how much money they have put into this stuff? It's like they have like $6 billion put into this.
Oh my God.
It's a crazy amount of money.
That's insane.
As of a couple of months ago, you had Apple TV only had 3% market share. And you're sitting here with Netflix at 28% market share, Amazon Prime 20%, Disney at 14%, and Hulu at 13%, which surprised me that Hulu's numbers were actually that high.
Right? Yeah, I always expect Hulu to be like on the verge of bankruptcy.
Right. And HBO Max and Peacock actually coming in above Apple TV as well. But I tell you, over the next several months, I have a feeling Apple TV is going to really come up. And if they can figure out how to become a little more user-friendly and get themselves more accessible to the everyday person, I'm dying to watch some of their shows.
Yeah, this is Physical with Rosie Bryant is fantastic.
Okay.
I tried to watch this. I like both these actors. In fact, this actress is from YouTube. She cut her teeth on YouTube. She was on, oh my God. What's the channel that does the CEOs videos?
Oh, you're talking about College
Humor. She started in College Humor, and her name is Emily something. She started in College Humor. She was on College Humor for like 3 years, and then
she's on SNL, bro.
What?
She's on SNL. Are you talking about the girl in the video?
Oh my God, I am so stupid.
She's
a completely different person.
She's on SNL.
Oh, you're right, SNL. Yeah, okay. I'm so sorry. You're right. And then that's Key, right? Or Peel.
That's
one of them.
Yeah, that's the Key. He's hilarious too.
I thought it was gonna be so funny. You're right. I'm wrong about that lady, but I thought it was gonna be hilarious. And the problem is, there's too much singing, so I couldn't get into it. But maybe if you like musicals, you will adore it. I don't know.
Maybe. For $5 a month, though, it's worth a shot. $50 for an annual subscription. You know, Disney Plus is currently sitting at about $8 a month. Netflix and Hulu are both going up in price. So you're going to be paying a lot more for those.
Hulu's going up in price again? Wow, another nail in the coffin for me.
I know. Hulu's going up again. So Apple TV's sitting at that $5. And yeah, to me, I feel like there's finally enough content to probably be able to afford, to justify paying for it. Because there's at least 3 or 4 shows that I now want to watch. So I got to tell you, be on the lookout for Apple TV, guys. If it had gotten the MGM deal that Amazon got, because Apple was in a driving spot to be able to buy MGM's content, and they didn't pull the trigger. And we thought that was going to sink Apple TV. So instead, they took that money and just doubled down on original content,
which is great. And
which is good for us too, which is even better, maybe.
Yeah, the good thing about original content is, it's original.
Yes.
You know, it's not a reboot of a reboot of a reboot of a reboot, which is nice. And some reboots I'm cool with, but a lot of times we go back to the same well over and over and over again, you know?
I just tweeted out earlier. We tweeted out earlier that the Flight of the Navigator is getting a reboot, a Disney show, just like The Rocketeer. And I'm just like, I'm just getting tired of so many reboots and kind of craving this original content. I don't really want to revisit stuff I've already, and maybe because we're older, we were around for it, and these new generations want a new thing, but it's the same IP. So it's kind of, it's frustrating. So it's nice to see that Apple TV's like, hey, we're bringing original content, and it's good content. Yeah. It's not this Netflix kind of, is it, you never know if you turn on something on Netflix, whether it's going to be good or not. It's
sometimes it's good on Netflix, but you know what they do is they're just like, they throw everything out the wall and whatever sticks they run with. And they make the common mistake of canceling stuff that was working. Like Jupiter's Legacy was a great show, like legitimately great show. It was easily a competitor to The Boys. It might have even been better than The Boys. Wow. In the sense where it had more of a it had more lore. Like they went back, they were showing, how they got their powers from like the 60s, and it was a sci-fi show that was shrouded and it looked like a superhero show, but it was actually a science fiction show. And it was really well done, really well done. A lot of people loved it, and they just they canceled it after like 8 episodes, which is weird. It's almost like, oh, this show is costing us a lot of money, and we're not, and it's not the next Game of Thrones, or whatever.
That's true.
That's a mistake. So instead, go buy another 18 shows that no one cares about. I like the fact that Apple seems to be. I can't believe I'm complimenting Apple right now as someone who has been criticizing Apple for like my entire adult life, but they really are choosing the right shows and the right talent. And Ted Lasso is so unique. I've never seen anything like this on television. It's so unique. It's so, you can watch it. Anyone can watch this. You don't gotta know about soccer or football. You just gotta be a human, and it's a great show.
All right, I'm sold on it, and it's hard to sell me on any Apple products.
It's true. It's true. Let's get to the next thing real quick. Let's talk about my favorite topic today. Of course, after, Matthew Kadish, but close, very close. What? My favorite topic will be 325-inch television that costs $1.7 million for extreme home cinema. Oh my God.
Dude, is that not for real? Look at that glorious image.
Jeez.
Look at that. Look at the size of the girl and the boy. And then look at that damn TV.
They can't see you. Let me move your camera.
Look at that. Right there. That's insane.
Wow. Oh.
So 325-inch television, and it's $1.7 million for this 325-inch television that is actually built by smaller squares being put together. It's an LED TV, believe it or not.
Oh, so it's like a bunch of smaller screens?
Yeah, so they actually build this thing, put it in your house, but you can't tell once it's put together.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
It's really cool, and I want one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I was looking. I don't know what happened. This came from Collider, so I was like checking it out, but it was absolutely insane. So I started like looking around, and I'm like, hold on a second here. What's how big of a TV can I realistically get in my house? So I started looking around, like, because I've got like, I don't know, it's probably like a 70-inch TV or 68, whatever. It's a big TV. Right. So I'm not complaining or nothing. It's not like nobody needs to feel bad for me like I got a small TV, but I wanted to know. And it looks like I looked around a lot of places, and believe it or not, Walmart has the biggest TVs you can go out and buy. Just go to the store and buy. They have 100-inch TVs made by Hisense, right?
How much are they?
A 4K Android Smart Laser TV system for $3,500.
I gotta go.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Oh my God! If I really strap my 2 credit cards out, I can afford that.
Yeah, there's better versions of the same 100-inch TV made by the same people, but there's
I
It's
mean,
got a bunch.
3K is actually like if you save for a couple months, you might be able to do that. It's not like $1.7 million, you know?
Yeah, no, that's like what 6 months of electric bill for you. So yeah,
Oh my
that's
God, but that's not 6 months. That's like, oh
what is
my
it?
God,
4 months?
I'm so depressed right now. That's what it is.
Sorry.
That is
I,
6 months of paying the electricity bill where I live. God, so
I shouldn't
stupid.
I shouldn't have brought it up.
Oh, it's so stupid. And you know what? Then when you see the studio tour, you're gonna be like, oh, dude, and that's why your electricity bill is $600 a month.
Can you imagine what your electricity bill would be if you ran this 325-inch, $1.7 million television in your home?
I'm getting a headache thinking about it.
Yeah, so it's fascinating. And there are smaller versions. Like you can, like 325, but you could get like smaller versions of that built down for you.
But why?
So they also have a 108-inch model. You're like, what? But if you can't afford the close to $2 million model for your next TV, don't worry. You can scale down to a 108-inch model for the modest price tag in the low six figures.
My question is, can you see the seams? I mean,
It looks really clear from the images.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is a real image though.
Well, probably scroll down and you'll see another one right there.
Oh, this looks like it might be a real image. Who knows though nowadays?
But for $100,000 or $200,000 for a 108-inch TV, you would have to be ridiculously. You'd have to have way too much money to justify doing this.
Yeah. No. Yeah. This is an insane purchase, especially considering that for like $1,500, seriously, you can have the same size TV,
right?
With a ultra low throw projector.
Well,
you can get a surround sound system, and you can get one of those ultra low profile projectors, and the quality is insane. And the only caveat is it can't be super bright in your room. That's it. And you can fill an entire wall for like $1,500.
Well, I knew that you would love it because you were all about electronics. So
I am.
I'm glad we covered the story. If you want this, if you happen to be watching us and can afford this, then send us a little email and I'll tell you where you can go get it.
if you're watching this and you can afford this, check out popcast.co/join.
And try to look at some of the lower tiers.
Yes. Look at the lower tiers. Buy us a cup of coffee.
Kenneth says you need a big wall. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you need a big house too. Yeah.
Can you imagine? You need a big wall to put a 320. Yeah. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. You live in an apartment and you buy this.
It doesn't fit on my wall. What's going on here?
What's that about, bro? All right. Let's get on to the next thing. Let's talk about how Universal beat out the other studios to land Christopher Nolan's new World War II epic movie. Which, didn't we already have a Christopher Nolan World War II epic movie?
It feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Didn't he do that? He did. Yeah, I think he did. But
he did. He did the movie, and I'll pull it up for you here.
Dunkirk.
He did Dunkirk. Nolan is an interesting dude. After going through this, and I'm gonna read a little bit for you here. Dunkirk was a World War II. This movie is going to be around Oppenheimer, who basically created the atom bomb, and it's going to be the story of how the nuclear bomb was created. And I think partly just that reason alone is a little bit why Warner Brothers probably didn't pull the trigger with Nolan, because they were, despite all what everybody's talking about, they were still in the running for being able to get him.
Really?
Yeah, Christopher Nolan. This is very fascinating. Christopher Nolan is basically he's going to be at Universal now. And he was at Warner Brothers for basically almost 2 decades. Okay. And if you don't know who Christopher Nolan is, he hasn't directed a ton of movies. Okay. He has not. But here's some good ones that he did. Memento, fantastic movie.
Oh yeah. Great.
Omnia, good movie. Let's see, the Batman series. So the Dark Knight series, all 3 movies, The Prestige, Inception, Interstellar, Dunkirk, and Tenet, which was a good movie, but a box office flop.
Right.
Comparatively.
Right. Well, that was because of COVID, though, right? I mean,
yeah. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Christopher Nolan is Christopher Nolan. Everything he makes turns to gold thus far, for the most part. So that's why Universal basically dropped everything to try to get Nolan over for this, Oppenheimer, the Robert Oppenheimer movie. But there's a little bit of talk of that Warner Brothers was like, well, look we know you always make a hit, but the problem is like, this isn't very topical information. Like, who's going to run to this movie that's interested in World War II still?
Yeah, not me.
I'm going to, because
you love that kind of stuff.
But will the younger generation be interested in hearing the Oppenheimer story? I don't know. There's been a couple of them done, but they're all in. And let me tell you something. Christopher Nolan demands certain things. This is amazing. If you read through this entire article, bro, he has like very specific demands. Like, he has input on when something gets released, which is why Tenet didn't do well, because Nolan wanted Tenet released. He had this vision that Tenet was going to bring people back into the theaters. I think he fell in love with the idea that his movie was going to basically resurrect the movie industry and bring everybody back in.
He should have waited like 4 months, and that might have been the case.
Right. Warner Brothers kind of didn't want to release it, but he has this clause that allows him to have input on when a movie's released.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so instead of his movie being the one that really brought everybody back, it ends up being Black Widow, I think. Right.
Right. Well, yeah, sort of.
That's kind of what's being looked at as the one to bring everybody back.
I mean, they're saying that Fast and Furious was like the first big movie that brought people back to theaters. And to be fair, true. I went to go watch Fast and Furious in theaters, and it was packed.
Okay, so maybe Fast and Furious. That's another good one. So, his dream of being that guy didn't happen. But he's got some really weird things. He has this clause in his contract that makes it so the same studio, can't release a movie 3 weeks before his movie comes out or 3 weeks after.
Really?
So he has this blackout window. Right. But Tenet lost $50 million. And I think Warner Brothers was like, yeah, we aren't going to give you the same amount of control that you've had. And we don't think this movie is going to be huge. So I think that's a big reason why he ended up going to Universal. Not that I'm defending Warner Brothers, because they've made a lot of bad choices.
Oh, boy, they have.
Bad. And letting go of one of the top directors in the industry right now.
Yeah, however you feel about it, Zack Snyder is one of the tippy tops.
Yeah, Zack Snyder. Now they're losing Christopher Nolan. It's like these guys are at the top of their game.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, can we bring on Matt for the next topic?
Let's do it.
Okay. So I'm just gonna set this up, guys. Okay, here we go. I'm bringing Matt in.
Woo!
I don't know if let us know when you can hear us, brother. Matt, can you hear us?
Matt, can you hear us? Walk towards the light.
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, there's Matt.
Yeah.
And that means, everybody, brother from another mother, author, editor-in-chief at the Salty Nerd Podcast, here is the one, the only Matthew Kadish.
Woo!
How you guys doing?
Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate being on.
I thought that was gonna be like a cool scene when I introduced you, but then I forgot that I had studio mode on and I had to click another button. So instead of I went to go click the button when Matthew Kadish, and then it just sat there and did nothing, and I had to quickly click another button.
It's a story of my life, man.
Yeah.
It's been nothing but problems today, Matt. Nothing but problems. But we're glad you're here. You're gonna save the day. You're saving the podcast today.
I will try. I will do my best.
Hey, first thing we got to talk about is I love your hat, your Earthman Tack hat. A lot of people know you on Twitter and in the community. So you got the Salty Nerd Podcast, but what most people don't realize about you is that you are an accomplished author.
Yes.
And, I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit today because I'm sitting here on your website. Matt was kind enough to give me a couple of books that I've been reading, now listening to the audiobook for. And I got to tell you, man, you are a talented dude.
Thank you.
I'm looking at your stuff here. You got your Earthman Jack series, which is from your hat there. Just tell us a little bit about what you kind of have going on and how people can enjoy the stuff you've been putting out.
Well, when I used to work in Hollywood, I was, trying to get stuff made that I had written and as a director and stuff like that. And around the time that the housing market bubble kind of burst, was that 2008?
Yes.
2009 timeframe. I kind of got very disillusioned with my time in the industry. And I decided to start writing novels. And that way I didn't have to deal with producers or actors or spend a whole bunch of money on equipment, locations. It was just kind of me and my imagination. And I'd never really written a novel before. And so I'd written plenty of screenplays, and I looked at it as kind of like a challenge to see if I could develop a different style of writing than I was used to. And so I moved out to Las Vegas, and that was back in 2012. And since then, I've been a full-time novelist. I haven't written all that many books, or as many books as I probably should have in that time. But my primary series is called the Earthman Jack Space Saga. And I like to say it's basically every science fiction movie I loved growing up, all mushed into a single ball and directed by Steven Spielberg. And that was kind of the concept that I went into that series with. And it's about a young kind of troublemaker of a kid who gets kind of pulled into an intergalactic drama, and he finds out that he can learn to have superpowers. He's very excited about that. And it's basically my answer to Star Wars. It's basically, Harry Potter meets Star Wars, essentially.
That's cool.
And in addition to that series, I've also started 2 new ones. One of them is a spinoff of the Earthman Jack. Kind of takes place in the same universe, even though it's like a couple hundred years earlier than the events of those novels. And I like to pitch it as Lethal Weapon meets Firefly. It's a science fiction Western mystery series. And then I have a contemporary mystery series set in Las Vegas, and it centers around a concierge detective who's basically a private investigator who freelances for the casinos, and they lend him out to their high roller clients when they get into trouble. And he's kind of more of a fixer than a detective, but he constantly gets pulled into these situations where his morals are tested, and he doesn't want to be a good guy, but he's kind of forced to become a good guy in some of these novels in order to solve the mystery. And but he likes being a bad guy, and he's constantly kind of struggling between those two things. And so those are kind of my primary series that I've been working on for the past 8-9 years. And I've traveled around, done a couple book tours with them, and have a certain fan base. It was kind of funny because when you guys saw us at the Star Trek convention this last August, I was there with my co-hosts, Alex and Matt Vader. And I would have people come up to me and start gushing over my books and ask me to like sign their books and stuff like that. And Alex and Vader were just kind of sitting there like, what's going on? I don't understand. Because they know me as their co-host and friend and show producer, and they knew I wrote books, but they didn't understand that, like, hey, authors have fans. And that was kind of like my deal before I started doing the podcast. So it was kind of funny to see their reaction.
What's funny about that, Matt, is you actually had been going to the Star Trek convention as an author previously, before doing the live show with Salty Nerd.
Yeah. So I when I first started my kind of career path into being a full-time novelist, I did my own book tours. And one of the things, because like I'd been friends with like New York Times bestselling novelists and stuff like that before. And one of the things I learned was, like, unless you're someone like, I don't know, Stephen King or James Patterson, or people who kind of court multi-millions of dollars in book sales, publishers don't spend any money on marketing you. And so authors oftentimes have to market themselves. And so when I first started out, I was kind of like, you know what, I'm going to create my own book tours. And so I traveled around the country, going to different conventions, comic book conventions, library conventions. And because I live in Las Vegas, it was very easy to go to some of these conventions out here, namely the Star Trek convention. I was a big Star Trek fan. I wanted to go. And I also wanted to tap into that Star Trek fan base because Star Trek fans are some of the most wonderful, loyal, awesome people you'll ever meet.
True.
And I wanted to introduce my stuff to those types of people. And so, yeah, I'd been going to the Star Trek convention since 2014, off and on. And yeah, I was able to reach out to that audience and share my books with them. And a lot of them really liked it.
That's fantastic. I got to tell you, you have this really great way of taking conflict and character creation and kind of bringing these elements together that make the stories very interesting. And I got to tell you, if you guys are on the fence, you need something new to read, do not hesitate to pick up one of the Matthew Kadish books. Start with the Earthman Jack series, work your way through. You will not be disappointed. Matt, you want to go through a couple stories with us while we're here? What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, at least one. We're going to be talking about Norm Macdonald, rest in peace. And I really wanted to make sure you were on for this because you have a lot of knowledge of pop culture. Norm Macdonald was was my favorite comedian for a long time. I used to tell people I clearly have a type because my favorite comedian is Norm Macdonald. My favorite radio host is Adam Carolla, and they sound pretty much the same. But Norm passed away recently. I'm just going to pop over that screen. He passed away on Tuesday, right, Shane? Tuesday?
Let's see. Friday.
Yeah, it was Tuesday.
Yeah, well, so if you're watching this, well, today's Friday, so he passed away on the 14th, and he passed away of a 10-year fight with cancer. And what's interesting about Norm Macdonald is it was private. It was a private battle with cancer. No one knew he had cancer.
That's crazy.
You know, I was watching his podcast. He had basically like a podcast where he was like a video podcast, sort of like Salty Nerd. He would have different celebrities on, people he knew. And I remember thinking, wow, he looks a lot older than he is. And I just figured, it was, rode hard, put away wet celebrity kind of stuff. But no, it was a battle with cancer. And man, Norm has given me so many good laughs. One of my favorite things was from that movie, Dirty Work. And we're going to show a clip later on. But the clip I'm referring to, this joke in Dirty Work, is I'll never forget. I remember watching this in the theater and laughing my butt off. And they were dressed up as cops, him and his buddy Artie Lang, and they were trying to get information at like a frat house. And they're having like a frat house party. And the frat guys figured out that they're not cops, and they give them a hard time and they kick them out, right? I'm paraphrasing here. So Norm goes to a telephone and he calls the frat house and he goes, "Hey man, it's Bobby over at this other frat. There's these two guys walking around dressed as cops trying to take your stuff." And the guy's like, "Oh yeah?" He goes, "Yeah, if you see them, kick their butts." And he's like, "Thanks, bro." He goes, "Okay, go back to doing something homoerotic now." And he hangs the phone, right? And then the next call, and this is how good his jokes were. The next call was, "Hey, cops." And so you knew right then that he called the actual police, filed a noise complaint. They show up at the frat house. And the next thing you see is the frat house guys being beaten up by cops and arrested. So this guy's jokes were, sometimes they were dead on, hit, the perfect timing, and sometimes they were shocking where they just came out of nowhere. Like every joke he ever made about O.J. Simpson, he would start telling a story like on Weekend Update, and then end the story with because he kills people. And even when you knew it was coming, it was still funny. The guy was just a juggernaut of comedy and an extreme advocate of free speech. and just it's a loss, not just for the comedy world, but it's a loss for the world. The guy was such a talented, bright light, and as we know, the brighter the light, the quicker it burns out.
Do you remember when he played Bob Dole?
Oh yes,
I do. Yeah. That's right.
Oh, so good. Bob Dole.
I was not a huge initially I wasn't a huge fan of his on SNL. I didn't really enjoy the Weekend Update. I'd come from the Dennis Miller time frame before that. So when he came in, he was kind of a little quirky, a little weird, but he grows on you. He was 61 years old when he died, which is just sad, totally sad, way too young to die. But even more importantly, he was one of those comedians that basically lived off of the shock joke. Like you said a second ago, Brian, that was like his thing. Is he said, you shouldn't tell a joke unless it's going to surprise somebody.
Right.
That was his method. And he had such a unique voice. He played Yaphet on the Orville, which we cover extensively. What did you think of him, Matt?
I loved him. He was fearless. I was a fan of his the minute I saw him on Saturday Night Live. I really liked his Weekend Update stuff. I watched his TV show when it premiered. Unfortunately, it didn't go very far, but I personally loved it when the show allowed him to kind of do his own humor. It was fantastic. Dirty Work, I think, is an underrated gem.
Oh, it is such a gem.
Yeah, but by the way, he's definitely doing that dog. So
yeah. He's definitely doing that dog.
He's definitely doing that dog.
In the hookers in the trunk. He goes, oh, there's a hooker in that trunk. Oh, there's a hooker. There's a hooker in that trunk. Why are there so many hookers in these trunks?
You need funny.
There was a great line he had in his TV show where I guess he was having like a fight with his girlfriend. I forget who played it, but he was like, "Yeah, why don't you go back in the bedroom and do some sit-ups, fatty?" Like that's how he talked to his girlfriend. And when she was walking away, he was like, "Don't forget your Mardi Gras beads, whore." Yeah, and it was just that Norm Macdonald deadpan delivery made those lines so much funnier. And every time he showed up in anything, it was just like, "Oh, Norm Macdonald."
Oh,
yeah, it was a nice little surprise, right? Every time you got a little piece of him somewhere, because he never carried things on his own, but you would get pieces of him all over pop culture. That would just be nice.
Well, he also had that sports show he did on Comedy Central for a while, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of hit or miss because I'm not a big sports fan, but it was always fun to kind of see him get into it. But of course, there was an episode of the Orville last season where he actually got to show up in Yaphet's place. It was the one where the doctor's dating Isaac, and he creates this hologram of what he looks like, and Yaphet used that too because he was into the doctor.
That's right. Yeah, that was
and Norm Macdonald just shows up, and you're like, it's Norm Macdonald.
It's Norm. One of the greatest jokes from Weekend Update was he was reading an actual interview between O.J. Simpson and the New York Post or whatever, and he was like, and O.J. Simpson was like, Nicole was the only, and Nicole Brown was used to tell me that the only person, she trusted to protect her in this world was me. And, I'm gonna miss that. And he goes, doesn't it suck that the only person that can protect you also killed you? And the way he landed it, the audience wasn't even on his side. You can, especially during his stand-up, half the audience would just be like, "Oh my god!"
It was so uncomfortable, right?
And the other half would be laughing, and that was the beauty of Norm, man. He had withheld nothing. In fact, he was doing stand-up with cancer, making jokes about cancer, and people were giving him a hard time about it. He said, "Why do they call it a battle with cancer? You're battling cancer, but eventually you're gonna die. That means that everybody that battles cancer is just like the loser. But is it a loser, or because you die, the cancer dies? I would think that's a draw." And people were giving him a hard time, like he wasn't being sympathetic to cancer patients. He was doing that joke while having cancer. He could have just took the out and been like, "Yo, guys, I have cancer," but he didn't want to. He didn't want to even announce that information, not just because it was private. I think because like, look, you can tell any joke. That's the point of comedy. You know?
Well, he was very fearless. He didn't give a fuck what anyone thought. In fact, there's a great kind of video out there with Jim Brewer where he's telling a story about Norm Macdonald and Chris Kattan. Have you guys seen this video?
I read a little bit. I haven't seen the video yet.
So like, Jim Brewer's out there doing his stand-up and he's telling a story about the early days of, his run on SNL and how Norm Macdonald and Chris Kattan were like, kind of newbies along with him. And they were doing a Twilight Zone sketch where Norm played Rod Sterling. And during the rehearsals, Norm would just be like kind of sitting there like, I'm Rod Sterling, smoking a cigarette. And just, basically pissing off Chris Kattan because Chris Kattan really wanted to get like some airtime. And so like, it just depended on which sketches got picked up during like the rehearsals and stuff like that. And Chris Kattan started getting really pissy with Norm Macdonald. And Norm Macdonald was just like kind of sitting there smoking a cigarette, blowing him off. And then like, their sketch gets selected. And right before they're about to go live, Norm Macdonald turns to the audience and starts saying that Chris Kattan is secretly gay and how he wants, like all this gay stuff. And Chris Kattan's sitting there like he'd been bad mouthing Norm for like days during the rehearsals. And all of a sudden, like Norm just turns around and starts roasting him like right in front of the audience. And then as soon as they go live, he does like a pitch perfect impression of Rod Sterling that he didn't do at all during the rehearsals. It just nailed it. And Chris Kattan's sitting there like he's all frazzled. He can't remember his lines and he looks like an idiot. And Jim Brewer is saying like, if you ever see the video of this on YouTube, you'll see my back turn and I'll just be sitting there like with my arms shaking and you'll know why. It's because I'm laughing my fucking ass off.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That is hilarious. That was the way Norm was. You were talking about his O.J. Simpson jokes earlier, Brian. That's what got him fired. So in 1998, he was actually fired from Saturday Night Live. And it's basically, he was making jokes about O.J., who was a friend of NBC West's president.
That's right. So, they thought he was being racist and OJ had not yet been convicted or anything.
So what happened was Don Ohlmeyer is the guy's name. So Conan came out today or yesterday and today started talking about the fact that they tried to ban Norm from being on Late Night with Conan O'Brien, who was arguably one of Conan's best guests. He kept bringing him back. And he said that they tried to ban him. That executive tried to ban him from going on the Conan O'Brien show. And Conan wasn't having none of it. But they tried to end that guy's career for doing that. And, that style of comedy is, it's shocking, it's rare, but it works almost every time somebody do it. You can go back to Andy Kaufman. You can go some of these just different.
It's kind of like a Lenny Bruce type situation.
Yes, like Lenny Bruce.
Where he's like, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah,
I'll say what I want.
I'll do what I want to do. If people laugh, great. If they don't, I'll go be a janitor somewhere. It's just like, they just don't care. And that's kind of what makes it funny. We all wish we could kind of be that way. Norm is going to be sadly missed.
There were so many gems from his podcast too. That like, if you haven't seen it, I suggest you go check it out. You can find them all over YouTube. Yeah, there's lots of funny stuff, but
at least I think he filmed all of his stuff for the Orville season 3 at least.
He did
before he passed.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that's definitely a big one. Before this was our last story on the live portion, right, Brian?
It is.
So before we go to the member section, can you tell us a little bit, Matt, about the Salty Nerd podcast? There's a lot of people who watch us who also love to watch you guys. Can you just kind of talk about what you guys do so that that people get to hear about it from on this side of the fence?
Yeah, we're basically a comedy show, and what we do is we kind of make fun of movies and TV shows. So every week we'll choose like a theme, like we just did Die Hard ripoffs, for instance. Episode's going to be coming out tomorrow, and we watch 3 movies within that theme. So in this example, we watched Air Force One, Toy Soldiers, and Under Siege. And basically, it's me, my fiance, and my 2 best friends. And we sit around, we drink adult beverages, and we talk about movies. And each one of us kind of has our own little thing. Like Jude, her whole thing is really schlocky horror movies. Like that's her wheelhouse. I'm kind of the film professor type who talks about the behind the scenes stuff and the technical aspects of filmmaking. Vader's the color commentator. He's like our Artie Lang. He just doesn't give a fuck. He'll talk about anything. And Alex is the host, and he's the one who kind of keeps the conversation going. And he likes really, really bad movies that he thinks are good. So it's kind of like a fun dynamic. We like to kind of make fun of each other and kind of bust each other's balls, and also just have a good time talking about movies. And we try not to get political or anything like that. We just want to entertain people. And so that's kind of the concept of the show, where basically we just kind of talk about movies and TV shows and have a good time doing it, and just want to entertain people, make entertainment fun again, basically.
Well, it's extraordinarily entertaining. You guys it's constant laugh fest and just enjoyable. And I think you guys have this, because each of you come at it from your own angle, that it brings this nice little mixture of fun. So if you guys haven't checked out the Salty Nerd podcast, make sure you go on to YouTube, Salty Nerd podcast, give them some love. And you're trying to build up your Facebook clientele lately, I guess, huh?
Yeah, we are. So one of the interesting things about our podcast is that we all go in studio. It's not a like StreamYards or Zoom thing where we're all like, separated and, kind of calling in. We're all actually at a table, sitting there facing one another and having a conversation. And we kind of like to pitch it as like it's a couple friends at a bar and you're just kind of eavesdropping on our conversation. But if you go to saltynerdvideo.com, that takes you right to our YouTube channel. If you like to listen to podcasts, just go to saltynerdpodcast.com. That takes you to, if you're on an Apple device, takes you to Apple Podcast. If you're on an Android, takes you to Spotify or whatever. And we have over 200 episodes out right now. So we do 3 episodes a week. Friday is our big kind of like weekly show. And then on Wednesdays, we're doing focus reviews. Right now, we're reviewing the 2nd season of the Apple TV show C, which is about blind people, and it stars Jason Momoa. And it's such a ridiculous show. We have such a fun time talking about it. And in fact, the people who make the show watch our podcast recaps of their show, and they've actually reached out to us and let us know how much they enjoy our recaps of it, which is kind of a trip. And on Mondays, we do another kind of focus review of a new release movie or something like that. And that's for our patrons, our members only area. So they get like the full unfiltered spoiler review. And then we put like a 10-minute spoiler-free review out on YouTube for people to watch. So we produce a lot of content, but it's a lot of fun and we have a good time doing it. And we hope more and more people, like pretty much everyone who comes across our stuff and actually bothers to watch it, tends to like it. I'd say like 95% of the people who find our channel end up sticking around, watching more than one episode, and
I enjoy it
and checking us out. Well, thank you guys. We enjoy your podcast too.
In fact, especially enjoy Vader's off-color commentary.
Oh, he's great, isn't he? Yeah. I think it was funny because me and Vader both watched your Star Trek Picard kind of like theory video, I guess. I forget when you put it out. It was about like what Q would do in season 2, the possibilities. And we were both like, we hate you guys so much because we were totally kind of checked out on Star Trek Picard, and when we watched your video, we're like, oh wow, that might actually be kind of cool. We'll have to check it out.
Yeah, unfortunately, like, I don't think the studio is taking notes from us. So
yeah, right. Unfortunately,
pretty sure that's not what you're going to get. But you know what? Nice to dream.
So Matt, can you stick around with us in the member section for a little while and maybe cover a couple more stories?
Yeah.
All right. So what can they do, Brian, if they want to keep watching? Because I think we're about done, right?
My light is flickering again.
Oh, the battery's going. No, this is not good. We're going to have to get you like a super battery charger.
Jesus, bro. That's great. Let me just pop this up real quick.
That's a sign we're about to lose Brian. Yes.
All right. No light for me.
I got plenty for both of us.
Yeah, listen. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the members section. This is very important. And I really wish I had a light so you can see my face right now, but I do not. So if we're going to leave this channel that you're on right now, all you're going to see in a few minutes is a black screen with popcast.co/join. Why? Because if you go to that URL or the URL in the description and you join our actual main channel, you can see the whole show. You can still go to youtube.com/thepopcast/join or popcast.co/join. Links on the description, links on the screen. And we're going to leave the audio on for a little bit, but we have another 6 topics we're going to cover. Hopefully we can trick Matt into sticking around for the majority of those, if not at least a couple.
Yep.
And yeah, come on over. Again, I'm going to go ahead and leave the audio, the audio on for a couple minutes, but then at some point I'm going to get bored of clicking that button. But additionally, because we sometimes play copywritten stuff that cannot make it into the public version of YouTube. It's not our fault. Don't get mad at us. Hit up whatever her name is that runs YouTube. But every time we try to play a clip or a trailer or whatever, it gets claimed. It's a whole thing. So we try to keep all those stories, especially the video of the week, for the last half of the show, the member section only, where the majority of YouTube can't find us.
Nice. Okay, well, it's been great talking with you guys here today. So great to have Matthew Kadish, our special guest, on. Let's take this over to the member section. You guys come on over. And if not, we will see you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.
I'm going to hit this marker here, okay?
Mark it.
I'm going to hit this marker. My brain is not working today.
You guys are so fancy and technically advanced.
Not really. It's not really. All right. So
you're hitting markers and going to members areas.
So there we go. Right now, if you're on PCU, you can only see a black screen with white text that says podcast.co/join. Don't forget the links in the description down below to see the rest of the show. Moving on to the members section. What's up, boys?
Yeah.
Oh, he looks like
this feels good.
Kenneth Rogue, Mr. Tickle Trunk, my friends. Looks like Jeremy had to split. Oh, he went to the brewery.
He chose the brewery over us, so I can't blame him. Like, he can't be mad.
I get it. He's like, look, I'm just going to watch this later, guys. It's brewery. It's brewery time.
This is our relaxed time. Now that we're in the member section, we can relax, let our hair down, talk about
if I had hair.
How was your week, Matt?
Oh, my week was super busy. So last week I was in New York for my brother's wedding.
Oh, nice.
And we got back late Sunday. And then Monday is usually my show prep day because we film the podcast on Tuesdays. And so I hadn't been able to sell my Raiders tickets for that night. It was the first game of the Las Vegas Raiders at the new stadium. And so I was like, I'm not going to waste these tickets. So me and Matt Vader went to the Raiders game that night. And this is like going after no sleep the night before and spending all day working on my show prep for Tuesday. And then Tuesday happens. I wake up very early. I get the studio ready and, we do the podcast. And then I spend the entire day getting my car fixed. And yesterday my garage door broke. The spring on it just snapped and I had to get that repaired. And Wednesday I spent the day editing our RC video. And then today Alex had a family matter he had to attend to. So I had to edit this week's episode as well. And so I've just been going nonstop from last week on because I was also a groomsman at my brother's wedding. So I was there doing stuff.
Holy cow. Let me ask you the important question. Are you a season ticket holder for Raiders tickets?
I am, yes.
What? Oh my God.
I own 2 seats in that stadium.
Matt, we got to talk. Dolphins next week. Oh my God.
Oh, the Dolphins are going to go there.
Next week.
Oh, okay. Matt, we're going to come see you in Vegas. We're going to come see you in Vegas. Shane is a super fan of the Dolphins.
Oh, man.
He's a super fan of Tom Brady, but he won't ever tell anybody that.
No, I'm not a super fan of Tom Brady at all. I was so bummed because I knew they were coming. The closest they're coming this way is to a Raiders game. So I started looking up, Raiders tickets, and I couldn't get any that weren't like $1,000. So,
hey man, I'll give them to you for a good price,
dude. That's what I'm talking about. Or you can come to the game with me. Whatever. It's cool. No, it's cool. So you had a tough week. You did a lot of stuff.
It was more of a busy week than a tough week, I'd say. It's just tons of stuff going on that my trip to New York just kind of, put me behind on a lot of stuff. And, I hadn't had time to do any writing,
Yeah.
So
what is your writing routine like? I mean, I'm a huge fan of Stephen King. I'm a writer, not like you, but I'm a writer. And I know Stephen does it a certain way. How does your routine go?
So before Jude moved in and I had a girlfriend and child I had to deal with, my writing routine typically started around 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and then I'd go till like 2, 3 in the morning. And then I would just basically write until like I got tired and went to bed. And then I'd go to the gym in the morning and kind of think about what I was going to write, come home, shower, and then like, start writing again. Nowadays with the podcast and everything, I've been trying to figure out a better writing time. And I'm thinking that I'm going to have to start waking up at like 4 or 5 a.m. and just try to get an hour or two in before my day starts in earnest, because having a live-in girlfriend and child and working on this podcasting stuff full time, it's hard to find time to write. So I'm trying to figure that out, what my new kind of routine is going to be. And I think I just got to do it first thing in the morning before things get started. Otherwise, I'm just not going to have time to do it.
Yeah, it's weird. I've got 5 kids, and so I've tried to figure out how to make life work properly between running a business and doing a podcast and doing, Brian and I do like 5 or 6 different things. And I find that early morning is like the only time I have to myself. Yeah. So that's actually pretty good.
Yeah. I have a writer buddy who basically he's got like 4 kids. And when he was out here last, I asked him, I was like, so when do you write? And he's like, dude, I wake up at like 3, 4 a.m. and get like a good 3 hours done before the family needs me. I'm just like, oh, that's so early.
I do the same thing. So I'll stay up a little later to get work done, and then I'll get up a little earlier to get work done.
Yeah.
I always tell people Shane has 5 kids and 5 fur babies.
Yes, we have.
I got 2 fur babies.
So you know what though? Like... If everybody's cool with fur babies, but don't call your kids skin dogs. No one likes that.
Well, I guess it depends on the company in which you utter that name.
No one likes it when you call their kids skin dogs.
Oh my God.
But Jude requires that we spend our evenings together. So basically from 7 o'clock on, that's girlfriend time. And that's also the time where we spend watching the movies for the podcast. Oh. At a certain point, I'd say around like 9:30, 10 o'clock, I turn into a pumpkin. I start falling asleep and I'm useless. No longer can I stay up till 2, 3 a.m. writing constantly. I gotta get some sleep.
Nice.
I'm just getting old, guys.
That's it, brother.
I hate it. I miss the good old days when I would stay up until like 5 in the morning playing video games, right? And
don't do that anymore.
Being irresponsible.
Binge watching Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah, it was like when I was in my 30s, man. Like that was my life. I'd stay up late playing video games, binge watching TV. Going out. I lived a block below the Sunset Strip, and so like I could just go out to the clubs or like whatever. It was fun. It was a good time. But my 40s, not so much, unfortunately.
Yeah, we got to grow up sometime, right?
I still haven't grown up.
Yeah, let me tell you guys a quote.
Wait, we gotta grow up sometime.
Let me tell you guys a quote I heard when I was young, and I'm taking it to my grave. You don't get old, because you don't stop playing because you get old. You get old because you stop playing.
Dog, nice. I like that.
What are you guys playing right now?
I play literally one game. Dota.
What is it?
Dota.
Yep.
So I just downloaded this game, Crowfall, which is an MMO. I haven't had any time to play it, but I play 3 mobile games and I'm like addicted to. So
Shane does. Like Shane loves the mobile games. Yeah. Oh my God! When we got sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, guys, can I tell a story, Shane?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so we got sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, which everyone gave us a hard time about, by the way. Just a FYI, guys. They paid us to put the ad in the video, and we're in the members section, so no one can see this except for members. They paid us. So we're going to put the ad in the video. Don't get mad that there's a Raid Shadow Legends ad in one of our videos that take us 3 weeks to make. It's how we can afford stuff. But I found it hilarious that when we started playing it to understand it so we can make the ad, which, by the way, the ad was sick.
It was the best ad.
It was the best ad ever, honestly. Even the lady was like, that's really cool. But we started playing it, and I played it for a few minutes just to understand the layout so I can make the ad. But 2 days later, Shane's like, yeah, listen, I got these shards, and I'm working on my next champion. And I'm like, oh my God, you're playing Raid, aren't you?
I was sucked in totally and completely.
Dude, I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for those hero collector games, and I played the introduction, like the tutorial level of Raid Shadow Legends, like 3 years ago when I first got into the mobile games, and I thought it was a cool game, but for whatever reason, I didn't stick with it. My 3 games are Star Wars: Galaxy of Heroes.
Yes, mine too.
Oh my god,
I play that every day. Marvel Strike Force.
Yep.
And Dragon Champions.
Are you sure that you two aren't related?
Maybe. Have you guys heard of a Mobile Gamer? He's a YouTuber.
I'm sure I've seen his videos. Yeah.
So like he started off as a Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes channel, and then he transitioned to Marvel Strike Force.
Yeah.
And he's like the top Marvel Strike Force content creator on YouTube. And he moved out to Vegas recently. And so like I messaged him. I was like, hey, man, you want to hang out? And so like we've hung out a couple times, and the money he makes off of these things is sick. Like he did Raid Shadow Legends for a while. They paid him to, pitch their stuff. But like, yeah, he'll have stories about like, oh yeah, like when Dragon Champions launched, he was like, yeah, I made like 70 grand off of like that game.
Wow.
Like,
my God.
I was like, that's crazy. But he does a daily offer review for Marvel, which basically like he goes through all the cash offers on the in the store for that game. He tells you this is trash, this one might be cool. And it's like, don't spend your money on this, but this is a good value, that type of thing. So like when I get into my game, I'll watch his, like they're like 10, 15 minutes, and I'll be like, oh, okay, I'll spend a little bit of money on this because he recommended it.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing how much money you can spend on those games.
Oh, yeah.
It's scary a little bit.
Take a look at this, okay? This is my my collection of games on Steam, right? I'm just going to scroll down here, the never-ending scroll of...
My gosh.
Of hundreds of games that I've accumulated, right? And the only one I actually have installed is Dota.
Do you guys remember the heyday of Facebook games with Zynga?
I do, yes. Yeah.
I remember Farmville. I remember that game.
Yeah. So do you remember a game called Mafia Wars?
Oh, yeah, but wasn't that like a group game that they turned into of a game? Didn't that end up being like Among Us?
Well, it was basically it was almost like a pen and paper game where you were like a part of a mafia, and you had to collect a bunch of different stuff doing jobs in order to level up. And when I got into that game, I was like, this is stupid. And then I went on vacation to Texas for like a week, and then my car broke down, so I was there for 2 weeks.
A few moments later,
while my car was getting fixed, and this Mafia Wars game, so you could play it for free, but they also offered paid options. During that 2-week stay in Texas, I spent $3,000 on that game.
Oh my God!
Oh
yeah, just doing microtransactional shit, and I was just like, I was in Texas. I didn't know anyone. I was bored, and I'm like, I'm just gonna play this game. And before I knew it, I spent like all this money on that game.
Yeah,
I was like, man, and some of these mobile games, if you don't check yourself, like they're as addictive as gambling.
Yeah, bro, I don't even feel bad about my library anymore. Every time I buy a new game, I think, oh, this game looks really cool. I'm gonna play this game one day, and then never do. There's games from like 6 years ago that I purchased, never installed. But now that you've told me that story, I don't feel so bad. I'm going to keep buying games I don't play.
No, like I shudder to think about how much money I spend on these 3 mobile games that I play regularly. And it's like, if you just buy a regular game like you do and play it, it's like you spend $60 and boom, that's all you spend on it. These mobile games that you download it for free, you get hooked into it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, get 50 shards of this one character for $20. And it's like, oh, it's only $20. Then the next day it's like, hey, get 50 shards of this character for another $20. And you're like, oh, it's only $20. Yeah. And before long, it's like, oh, I've spent $20,000 on this.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say, you almost can't compete in some of these games unless you do spend some money. It's hard to be a free to play. So,
Yeah. And what's funny about the content creators for these games, because I follow a lot of them on YouTube because they give like, tips and strategies and stuff like that. These guys, they cater to a very small niche, audience, but that audience spends so much money on those games that they just make money hand over fist.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Oh,
it's crazy
so
to me. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
You ready to talk some news?
yeah. Well, first we gotta do video of the week.
We gotta get your light back on, man. You look like you're Dracula over there.
I'll get it back on before the next news. I'm charging the batteries. All right, real quick thing. These batteries are these big orange blocks. I'm sure Matt's seen them because he's worked in this industry. Big orange blocks. They cost about $200 a piece. They're supposed to last 12 hours. Somehow they die within an hour of every single stream. So
Why don't you just get one of those Elgato lamps that you just plug into the wall?
no, this one had a plug on it, and my kids were using it to make TikTok videos, and I can't find the plug.
Ooh.
So here we are. All right, let's get into the video of the week. And unfortunately, that means that we do have to 100% turn off the PCU, guys. I'm so sorry.
Oh, they're still hanging out. Nice.
Well, the audio is only, but I gotta turn the PCU off because I'm pretty sure that this is copyrighted material. So, again, if you are still listening and you want to actually listen/watch the entire show, go to popcast.com/join, or you'll see a link in the chat, and you'll also see a link in the description. Come on over and let's hang out for a lot more time. All right, see you guys later.